Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Food is the Best Medicine, Soul, Body, and Mind. I am your host, Zana Clark, a licensed dietitian nutritionist and a health and personal success coach. And every Friday at this time, I show up to feed your body, your mind, and your soul. Sometimes we have physical food for the body. Sometimes we have mental food for the mind, and all the time we have spiritual food for our heart and soul. So today we're going to be talking about how one particular client of mine surprisingly overcame her allergies in a way that is going to be transforming for you as well. And so I'm going to tell you about the story of Jessica. And I'm also going to share with you a particular recipe that Jessica loved that reduces histamine in the body and can help with allergies. So today is going to be part one of talking about fall allergies because so many clients are coming to me about that. And we're getting ready to start my holistic weight transformation program. And so many clients who have allergies struggle to lose weight. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, but I'm also going to talk in more detail about that and how you can use food as medicine to reduce allergic reactions from the seasons or from other means where you get a lot of histamine building up in your system, so that you can, one, breathe, two, you can lose weight. And the fall is a time when a lot of people are preparing to lose weight before the holiday season and before we get into the new year. And so I want to give you some tips on that next week. So for today, let me ask you a question. Do you ever wake up and look at yourself in the mirror and say, on the outside, my life looks good, it looks successful, but on the inside, I really don't feel it, right? On the inside, I'm feeling kind of exhausted and stressed and unfulfilled and sometimes confused. We can have all of these emotions going on. So the story about Jessica, that's how she woke up one day. That's how she woke up one day. And so I'm going to get into the details of that, but I did want to share with you a link, and I will put it in the comment section so that you can actually sign up for a free webinar that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow morning. It is for women who are like Jessica, and I'll explain more of that as we go along. But it's 3 keys to enjoy both your health and success. And so many of us women, we are prioritizing our family, we're prioritizing our career, we're prioritizing our community, and we tend to say about ourselves, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I'll lose those 5 pounds later. Oh, I'll go to the doctors later. Oh, I'll start this exercise program later. Oh, I'll start focusing on cooking more meals later. So we're always putting ourselves later, and often we put ourselves last. And that was the case with Jessica. So she was actually married. She had 2 children. She was advancing well in her career. She was making over $150,000. And on the outside, things looked really good. But she wasn't happy, right? She really was feeling exhausted, and she had gained weight. It seemed like every year she was gaining a little more, a little more, a little more. Sometimes she would gain, sometimes she would lose, but then she would go back up. And she really felt overwhelmed, and she felt stuck because she provided a lot of the support for the family financially and emotionally and physically. And she kind of felt stuck. So when she would talk about her job, though, even though she was happy that she was doing what she had gone to school for and she was making good money, she began to feel less and less alive at the job. In fact, one time she said that she actually felt like she was dying inside. Yeah, I could barely get that out of my throat. And over time, she developed a physical condition and she would get these allergic reactions. And she would get, would start with scratchy eyes and runny nose and feeling like she had hay fever. And then her throat would feel as if it was like closing and her breathing would get more labored. And it was kind of like an anaphylactic response, not like a shock response where you need the EpiPen, but enough that it was causing her to have to take days off from work. And it was, fogging up her brain so she didn't feel as clear or as creative or as productive as she normally did. And a few times she ended up in the emergency room, right? And she started going to a number of doctors and having all kinds of tests run, but they couldn't solve the problem. And the condition became chronic, right? So it went from acute reactions, which is kind of what happens up front when sometimes we eat something and it causes an acute reaction. But if we keep eating things that are not in harmony with our body, or we keep exposing ourselves to environmental factors that are not in harmony with our body, then it becomes more chronic. And that's what happened to Jessica. So she started looking for other answers, and she found herself at a webinar like the one that I'm going to be offering. And she decided that she would sign up with me, and she did some coaching with me. And while we were doing the coaching, she realized that, yes, she was really, really good at her job. But she felt as if she was leaving her soul at her job every day, right? She felt as if she was leaving her soul at the door when she left her home, right? She loved being home. She didn't so much love the job, right? So it was really draining her. It was literally draining the life out of her every time she had one of these reactions. And then about 3 months into working together, she said, Zana, I think I know what I'm allergic to. And I said, what? And, we had been clearing her foods, like taking out foods that were high histamine so that, she was not having such an inflammatory immune response. There's those my little doggies here. And we had been working on her mindset and looking at some of the things that had been limiting her from taking the actions in her life that she knew were more fulfilling. And she said to me, Zana, I think I'm allergic to my job. And I was like, really? Very interested. Because I had that similar experience. And in my case, I was working as a corporate attorney, and by all outside accounts, I was successful. But I developed hypertension, and then I developed prediabetes, and then I ended up in an oncologist's office with him spewing the word cancer 25 times. So I could understand when she said, I think I'm allergic to my job, right? So maybe you can relate to that, right? Sometimes it's our job that we're allergic to. Sometimes it's some other aspect of our life that we're allergic to. It can be a relationship. It can be that we love our job, but we're working too hard and we're working in a manner that is not fulfilling to our soul that we're allergic to, right? There's various components of our life that can make us feel constricted. And yes, everything that goes on in our life will show up in our body. So we have to learn to listen to the body. So maybe there's an area in your life where you feel stuck, right? You feel overwhelmed. Maybe you, like me, like Jessica, Our lives look good on the outside. We have the career, we went to the right schools, we have a good job, we have a nice family, but yet we still feel overwhelmed. We feel stressed, we feel stuck, and we may be reaching for food and eating more of those comfy foods than we should, right? Just to comfort ourselves and nourish ourselves and nurture ourselves. So think if there's an area where you're feeling stuck, right? And then notice those thoughts that come in your head for why this is the way it is, and it's just going to be this way, and I'll get to it later. Maybe after I retire, I'll be able to do it. Maybe after the kids are out of school, I'll be able to do it. Maybe when my husband says, okay, I'll be able to do it. Look at all of those reasons that we give to ourselves for why it's hard to change things. And that's where Jessica was, right? She was right there. But because she did recognize that her health was on the line, and what had started out as just kind of an acute condition then became a chronic condition, and then it started impacting her ability to work as creatively, with clarity and productively as she wanted to. It also impacted her family. So she started realizing that yes, her health was on the line, her life was on the line, and something had to change. So she realized she had to say yes to herself. And that's something that's hard for those of us who are like natural caregivers to do. It's hard for us to say yes to us. We say yes to everybody else. Can you relate? Yeah, many people can. So Jessica continued to do her work with me, and she really got in touch with what it was for her that she would love to have more of in her life. For her, it was career. And so she did leave that job eventually, right? She did find something that she loved, which paid her more money than where she was, gave her more freedom in her time than she had. And the best part was that she didn't have any more allergic reactions, right? She didn't have any more, right? So she had worked on her body. She had worked on her mind to see what was keeping her stuck and overwhelmed. And she had worked on her soul by finding a job that was more meaningful to her and more fulfilling to her. And even though she worked the same number of hours, she was happy and her body responded. So our body does give us less messages. So if you feel like maybe your health has declined, maybe you have not been focusing as much on your weight or your aches and pains or your appointments with the doctors, or you're just relying on medications to help manage a health challenge and it's not something that you're comfortable with. So if you find that you're in any of those situations, yeah, it's usually a sign that you've been sacrificing your health too, right? Some of us can eat healthy, but we're not sleeping enough and we're sacrificing our health. Some of us can eat healthy and exercise and sleep, but we are pushing the candle and we are operating under high stress and going for 14, 15-hour days nonstop, taking care of everything, everyone. And our brain is like this. We're sacrificing ourselves. So tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I do have a webinar that I'm going to offer. It is a complimentary, totally free webinar, and it is called Sacrifice No More. And we're going to learn the 3 keys to enjoying both your health and success. It's something that Jessica's done, and it's something that I've done. And it's something that I've helped hundreds and hundreds of women start taking steps to get into where they can have both. And sometimes clients come to me for the health challenges, and after we've worked together maybe a year, they don't even talk about the health challenges. They're so excited with all of the other changes that are happening in their lives that that's what we talk about. And what pulls us forward will heal the body. So I look forward to having you come tomorrow. I'm going to put the link in here so that you can get that. And so, yes, I'm going to post it right in the comment section right after this. And I'm also going to do the recipe that Jessica loved. So I know everybody loves to see the recipes that I do. And this one is what I'm going to be talking about more on part 2, which is next week, which are the foods that can increase your allergy response and the foods that can decrease your allergy response. And this particular recipe today is a smoothie. And it's a smoothie using basically 3 ingredients that are all antihistamine, meaning they are going to lower the histamine in your body that causes all of those allergic symptoms. So it's a great one for you to do more of during this fall season. So we have apples, we have mango, and we have cucumber, right? So apple, mango, cucumber. There's my apple. And I'm going to add a little bit of coconut water to this, and you can use any kind of non-dairy liquid. With these ingredients, generally the more liquid ones like waters work better than if you use like a milk, right? So I'm adding my fruits, and I have about maybe a cup or so of mango and a cup of the cucumber and maybe about a half a cup of the apple. You can vary the proportions related to your taste. But the key is that these are all high in vitamin C, which are antihistamine. They also help to lower the prostaglandins. Both of those are kind of secretions that come from your mast cells that work in response to your immune system. And they send out signals. They're like hormones. They send out signals. And that's what causes the allergic response as your body is trying to fight off whatever it thinks is an allergen, right? And when it does that, it's going to raise your stress response. So it's going to raise cortisol, which then throws off many, many other hormones, which is why for Jessica, getting this under control was so important because she's also going through perimenopause and we don't want to have hot flashes on top of all of this other stuff. So this particular smoothie is a great one you can use. Now you see, I do not add any banana or any avocado, which are key ingredients that I tend to use and which are common in smoothies to add the creaminess to the smoothie. However, they are higher in histamine. Yep, they are higher in histamine. So if you are suffering from allergies, those are 2 foods that you want to kind of hold off on now. And And here we have my delicious antihistamine, anti-allergy smoothie that's very rich in vitamin C. It's rich in quercetin. It's rich in prostaglandins, which is not prostaglandins, but what reduces the prostaglandins from the body. All of these are very key nutrients to help you release that allergic response. So I have posted into the comment section the URL for registering for tomorrow's webinar. It's a 1-hour webinar. It's very interactive. You're going to learn to redefine your vision for a successful, healthy lifestyle. You're going to learn 2 recipes that can actually help boost your health very quickly and very easily, even if you're a non-cook. And you're also going to learn a tip to overcome a limited belief that so many of us caregiving women have, which is our sense of self-worth, right? So in 1 hour, we are going to cover all of those things. And it's fun and it's interactive because there's food and food demos, and those are always fun. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you can't make it, you can still register and get a copy of the recording and follow along that way. It is tinyurl.com/sacrifice no more. Okay, I'm going to type it one more time because I see a little typo there. Okay, here it comes now. tinyurl.com/sacrifice no more. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a great, great, great day. Stay away from the pollen out there. Drink your enjoyable antihistamine smoothie. And I'll look forward to seeing you to talk more about how you can have both your health and success. Bye. Have a great one.
On the internet.